So, how is everybody in our listening audience today? Fine.
Very well.
I
Good,
hope you
good, good.
Good stuff.
very good. I hope the spirits are high. Spirits high,
Mine
even
are
though we live
from you.
in the country, and we're waking up and seeing the sun, but there's a problem. We're not feeling any heat, are we?
No.
But it's good to have the light,
That's true.
because with that comes energy. So
Mm.
today I've been looking forward, Asari, to today all week, because we started off with Brother Lionel last week and he showed us what he was doing in Rwanda in breaking ground on the resort that he intends to complete within the next couple of years. And it was very exciting to see, you know, and to be amongst those who are not just talking Africa, but actually making it happen. So it's very, very heartwarming. And I wanted to make sure that we have a part two with yourself, Brother Asari, who I know you hold Rwanda very dear to the heart. And I wanted to catch up with you, and I wanted us to, by extension, catch up with you, because we know you have spent an extensive time over there as of late. So I was trying to call my brother. I needed something from you. And I was saying, why isn't this man getting back to me? He usually gets back to me within, 120 minutes. And then I realized, oh, he's with his love. He was with his love. He was in Rwanda with his family. So very good to hear that you were in Rwanda, enjoying and extending yourself and really being true to the commitment of the heart to be a Pan-Africanist, because all Pan-Africanists must have something in Africa, right? And that was a problem in the past, Brother Asari, is so many of our people were calling themselves Pan-Africanists and aligning their views with Africa. And many of them had never actually been to the continent. So it's such a privilege to have a man who wasn't just speaking up Africa, but was and travels to Africa and spends an extensive time. And I tell you what I also like, Brother Asari, is sometimes when we talk about Africa, we usually only go to two places: Ghana, Gambia, Gambia, Ghana, Ghana, Gambia, Gambia,
That's
Ghana.
true.
And we've got so much choice when you talk about Africa. And sometimes we just go to these safe places because it's easier to just, they speak English. So we just go where everybody speaks.
Same place.
So it's a privilege and an honor to hear someone go in a different direction, and do something different and expand one's horizon. So those of you in our listening audience, let's take our devices off mute and receive our special guest this evening, Brother Asari St. Hill. Warm welcome back again to the Spiritual Injection platform, dear brother. Warm
Thank
welcome.
you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay.
Greetings, brother.
Greetings.
Greetings, everyone.
So over to you, Brother Asari. Tell us, what have you been doing since we last met you, dear brother?
What's interesting, my brother, is that when you actually, it's good making plans, but the best plans are on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
When you actually try and implement it, you realize you can sometimes come up with some issues.
Yeah.
So we basically went there with a plan, and we said, right, we're going to tell them, everybody we meet, we're coming in 2030. And we made a point to look at properties and all that. We'll come back to that later. So we were serious about, where do we want to live? We've got to check out some neighborhoods and all that. But one of the things we experienced was the look on their faces and the responses when we told them 2030. It was if, you guys ain't serious.
Right.
Look how long, 2030, that's like the next World Cup. The next World Cup would have come and gone by the time you guys get here. Are you guys really coming? And we sensed that they weren't taking us as seriously, because it sounded like we were saying we're coming, but so long time, there ain't no proper plan.
Mm.
So we sat down and did some maths and looked at it and said, we got this the wrong way around. We're saying if we stay in the UK for another 4 years, we can save more money and buy a property cash. But actually, saving money in England is kind of like a contradiction, because we worked out if we lived there, it would save us about £2,000 a month.
Mm.
Now, just as a simple equation, if we just took that 4 years, what's the maths? £2,000 a month over a year is 24 grand.
Mm.
Times 4 years is just under 100 grand.
Mm.
With 100 grand, you can buy a serious property over there. So we realized that going over there in 4 years' time, what are we waiting for? So we made a decision and we said, look, why don't we come next year? So I can tell you now that we have made a decision that we're going next summer. We ain't waiting until 2030. It's too long. We're going next year. So there's certain things that we have in place, certain things that are sort of commitments. We sat with the first thing we did before we said anything publicly is we sat down with our sons, because they're older, they're 21 and 26, and put it to them, and they gave us their blessing as far as they're concerned. Get on with it, go for it. We'll just make sure that we'll put certain things in place to support them, but they, as far as they're concerned, I hardly see them anyway.
Yeah.
Because the reality is they're with their girlfriends and, they're doing what they're doing. So, so we realized, no, so I can tell you live and exclusive that we've changed that plan from 2030. That's why I say it's always good writing things on paper, but the reality is sometimes you got to go with the flow and realize that, no, we need to go next year. So we're going next year. That's the plan now. So
you heard it live on the Spiritual Injection.
We're going next year. And it changes the way you think. Because now it's that serious. You now rethink everything you're doing.
Yeah.
Subscriptions and plans. You start thinking, actually, will we be here? So it's really changed the way we think. And I'll show you some properties and that later, but some wicked properties over there. And we saw some lovely houses, but they're Brockdown Road. And I don't do Brockdown.
Yeah.
So the last property we saw was an apartment, a 3-bedroom apartment, which I've got a picture of. And it oversees the city with these beautiful bay windows. And we said, and it was in the right neighborhood and in a nice street. We said, this property's got a name on it, And it was the last one we saw, but it was the best one in the nice area. Kibagabaga. It took me ages to learn to say this. Kibagabaga is the area we want to move to now. So we're getting a bit serious now.
Kibagabaga.
Kibagabaga.
Lionel's going to teach you how to say that properly. Say that again, brother.
Kibagabaga. I know it because I stayed.
Kibagabaga.
Kibagabaga.
No, you got to slow it down, Asari. Kibagabaga.
Serious.
Very, very nice area. Very up and coming area.
It's very nice area, isn't it?
Affordable for some.
There's no start a bidding war now.
But yeah, that's the place. So yeah. So what I thought I'd do today is I'm not going to do the long slides. I just want to do some introduction to take you back a little bit about what did we first see, and just do a few slides on that, and then we'll free flow it a bit, as well as I've got some pictures I want to share with you of the last trip we went on that shows you a few things. Some nice things like Innovation City. Here's a lovely one, right? They've got this place called Innovation City. It's a phenomenal innovation about what they're planning. And I'm naively, I hired a car when we were there. So we're driving everywhere, and we're using the Google Maps, because this was nice as well, to learn that you don't need the internet to use Google Maps. Yeah. You can do it without the internet, right? Because you do it on GPS. But anyway, we got SIMs this time. We got new SIM cards because you got the eSIM now. So it's easy, right? What was it? £5 for 2 weeks of internet use and SIM. So actually, I started to use Waze. I didn't realize you could use Waze there, but you can use Waze there. And it just took me everywhere I went to go. No problem. Fantastic experience. But it really gives you an insight when you start doing stuff like having to go shopping. So we got an Airbnb, because when you get an Airbnb, you have to go shopping, you have to cook, and it's part of starting to learn what it's like to live somewhere. If you always stay in a hotel, you forget about simple things like
Yeah.
Can you get baked beans or whatever it is you like, right? Can you get
protein bean pie?
Yeah, can you get your bean pie? Where can you get the stuff that you used to get in? So having to go shopping is a good thing, and I'm happy to say that there was nothing I needed to get that I couldn't.
And that helps you to make a decision where you're going to live, right?
Very practical. You know, is there what the supermarket's like? Yeah. What sort of products they have? What kind of pricing is it? Is it ridiculously expensive? You know, if there's whatever the things you like, can you get that there? Yeah. And how easy is it to access? Does it matter even if you can't get it? Some things you just do without, right? But you can get everything. You know, we had the Netflix on in this place and YouTube and all that. We get satellite TV and that, so we can, because we've got to be able to watch the football.
You got to be able to, as close as we are to winning the Premier League.
You know what I mean? We got to be able to watch different things. But having that experience, because we complained in the Airbnb that the internet access was a bit slow.
Okay.
So we raised that with them, but we know the internet access, because this is my 4th trip. I've never had internet access. So it was the actual box that they paid for. So they just upgraded it when we were there. No more problems. Absolutely fine. So I knew that internet was fine there. But anyway, let me show you a few slides just to show you a little bit of quick introduction. Just for context for those who are not so familiar with this lovely place called Rwanda. Let's just show that. Is it coming up? Let's do it full screen.
Yes, scrolling.
It's loading, it looks like. Yeah, there you go.
Is it on full screen now? Excellent.
Yeah.
So, so this is a bit of context. So we literally are planting roots there. As I said, it's our my 4th trip, my wife's 3rd trip. Because when I went on the 3rd trip, it was a trade mission, and my wife was in South Africa, so she was running conferences over there. That's what she does. So I joined her in South Africa afterwards. So that was pretty cool. So I've gone 4 times. So this is just a bit of context. So you know where it is. This is literally the map they show you, because we fly Rwanda. It was quite funny. The first time I flew, they booked, it was a European that had the travel agency, and they booked us on one European airline. So when I saw the booking, I said, nah, we ain't flying with them. Put us on the Rwanda airline. They said, oh, we didn't think you wanted to fly with them. You know, them kind of prejudice that they come out with. What do you mean we didn't want to fly with them? What, because it's not a proper plane or what? What is it you're trying to say? So we went with Rwanda. We've never flown with anybody else.
One wing.
You know, look, Air Canada can't even land a plane in New York.
Or in Canada, yeah, exactly.
So yeah, so no problem, right? So we flew with them. In that time when we first went in 2019, you had to go through Belgium. But now it's direct from Heathrow. Direct from Heathrow, 8 hours, 8.5 hours. So it's like going to the Caribbean. It's not that far. So this is Rwanda. It is landlocked. So this is quite a bit of context, because if you look at this, and you will hear a little bit about maybe the conflict on the west, which is the issue with the DRC, which I probably won't go into any deep things on the DRC at the moment, but that's the conflict with the DRC is on that west coast. You see where Lake Kivu, that's what they call Lake Kivu. And that's the border between them and the Congo, more or less where that lake is. There's a massive lake on that side where they found gas, by the way, as well. So they're taking gas out of it. And Kigali is more or less in the middle, and it's not very big. This is a country, what, about the size of Wales or something like that? It's quite a small country, but the population's pretty large for that size. It's about 14 to 15 million people. And one thing I learned when I was there, they have mapped every inch of the country with an electronic tools. You know, in some countries, like even in Ghana, you buy land, and if you're not careful, when you come back, somebody's doing stuff on it, and you think, what what's happening there? And then we hear, because I've got links in Ghana and I'm doing some work with people in Ghana, which I'll tell you about in a bit, and people say you might have to negotiate with the person on it to maybe do some kind of deal, and you're thinking, what kind of, but did I buy the land or did I not buy the land? What kind of situation is this? Well, I've got to do a deal with the guy on my land who's got a bit of agriculture or whatever. I've got to do some kind of deal with him to get him to move before I mean, I don't understand these kind of rules. But Rwanda is one of the few countries that has done a digital map of the whole country, and they know who owns land everywhere. Does that make sense? And it means that you have better control. So when you get title, because this is so important. You don't want to get a title that's a piece of paper, because I can give you a piece of paper now and sell you pieces of the moon if you want.
Yeah.
You know, you give me 10 grand, I'll give you a piece of paper, say you own that piece of land. It's meaningless. So what you don't want is to buy land and end up in trouble. So you want something with proper title. So it's just a bit of context there. So you see on the right is Tanzania, and Uganda's to the north, and then you get Kenya is just further north, and then you got Burundi and so on. So that's the kind of context in which where the country is in. It's called the East African country, but it's very central. You know, when you see a map of Africa, there's like a little eye. It looks like a head, and it looks like an eye. That's where more or less where Rwanda is, but just where that little eye is, which is more or less where the lake is. So what initially caught our eye? I don't know why that's come out. I think I added that on. But the most improved nation in human development, because a lot of people talk about Africa, in my opinion, very romantically. They love somewhere, but they felt that you can fall in love with somewhere, but it doesn't mean it's a great place. It's a great place. Does that make sense? You've just fallen in love with the trees and the sea and whatever. But when you actually ask, is this a nice place to live? It's got corruption, the road broke up, the things don't function. There's a lot of problems in the country. Does that make sense? And sometimes when you're from the outside, you look at it kind of romantically, but actually there's a lot of problems. Does that make sense? You go and buy your big house, go and build a lovely house, and when you come out the house, there's no road. You know, and all these kind of, the lights keep going off. I mean, I talk to people. I love Ghana. Don't get me wrong. I love Ghana, right? But I have meetings with Ghana twice a month. We call it the Ghana chapter, part of the Black Business Club. And if it rains hard, they're in the dark. I mean, they say, you know, don't worry, sorry, we're still here, but the lights have gone off. And I'm thinking, how are you going to do business like this? We got to develop Africa to the stage where, how do you even run a business if you can't guarantee the electricity? I got another brother that I'm coaching in Nigeria. He doesn't even bother with the electric. He says it's a waste of time even putting the electric on. He just has a generator 24 hours because the electric is so poor that he just has the generator on all the time. So these are real issues, if that makes sense, in countries. And Rwanda has virtually 100% power all the time. Now, in some of the rural areas, don't get me wrong, some of the rural areas haven't got full power yet. But guess what? Rwanda's talking about nuclear power. Did anybody see that last week? The president of Rwanda was in France last week talking about nuclear power, because there's only certain countries have nuclear and they don't want to share it.
Yeah.
Why don't they want to share it? Two reasons, I think. One, because the West often don't want to share technology. And the second one is they're scared you might develop nuclear weapons if you have nuclear. But Rwanda's talking about putting nuclear power into their country, and they've already got a chief officer who's running this. And a lot of people laughed when they said it, but they laugh about a lot of things around until they do it. So they're looking at building a nuclear power which would light up half of Africa. Imagine the power they would do. And this is a backdrop I've got to tell you guys. Everything Rwanda does, they think Africa-wide, not just Rwanda. You know, a lot of countries, all they care about is themselves. They're not Pan-African in the way they're thinking. They're just thinking, let me do it for my little country. I don't worry about anybody else. Everything they do, and I'll tell you a bit more later, they do for the whole continent. So human development, one of the best in the world in terms of what they've achieved. When they get aid, they deliver what the aid is. This is why a lot of people who we might not like, Western leaders, have a respect for Rwanda, because if they give them 50 million to build a road, they will spend 50 million on the road. We all know African countries where you give them 50 million to build a road, they spend 5 million on the road, and 45 million is a new mansion and a 5 BMWs.
In London.
And when you go back to see the road, it was supposed to be 50 miles and they've only built 5. What's the rest? Where's the rest of it? So it's a joke. So government transparency is number one. They're number one on women. 64% of their parliament are women. They're number one, the highest number of women in parliament in the world. And 50% of their cabinet is women. You can see this everywhere. Nearly all the meetings we had with senior officials are with women. So it's not just talk. And the thing is, when you talk to these people, they're not stupid. You know, when you go some places and you see a minister or you meet people, you think, how did this guy get this job? He ain't got a clue what he's talking about. But when we meet these people, they are very articulate, very clear, and they turn up on time. When you go to a meeting, they say 3 o'clock. You go at 3 o'clock, They ask you to sit, the person comes over, we have the meeting, and most of the people we're meeting are women. And they are on time, they're articulate, they know what they do, they bring a team with them, and they answer any questions. If you can't answer, they'll come back to you. Very, very efficient. One of the fastest growing economies in Africa. What's the other fastest one? Guinea is growing phenomenally fast because that's one of the places where they had the coup. And South Sudan is growing at 17%, some crazy percent. But we all know South Sudan is a bit of a basket case, right? South Sudan is so poor that's why when they say they're growing at 17%, it's because, you know, they're growing from a very low base. But still good to hear. And Ethiopia is growing pretty fast as well, about the same as Rwanda. Has anybody seen the pictures of Addis Ababa now? Our wife went there a few years ago, and she said she couldn't understand how there was goats in the capital city walking on the street and stuff like that. She was thinking, what on earth's going on here? You go back a few years later, and the place is like Dubai. They've transformed Addis Ababa, and they're really moving rapidly. So that East Africa is actually a very, very dynamic place. So one of the things Rwanda positions itself, and how I see it as well, is that living in Rwanda, I'm just touching on the surface of business. There's 14, 15 million people in Rwanda, but the region has 300 million on my doorstep, which is about the size of the population of the European Union. Phenomenal opportunities. Kenya, Tanzania, DRC's even getting its act together. This is a powerful region of the world. So the economy has been growing at about 7.5% over the last 20 years. And in the last year, it was 9.4% last year, they reckon between 7 and 7.5 for this year in 2026. So pretty good, right? And if you look at the second easiest place to do business, you can open a business in a day, and the safest African country to walk at night. This is by this survey is done by asking the population. Number one is Singapore. And I was only in Singapore a few years ago, and it's my second trip there. Phenomenal. And when you go to Singapore and you go to Rwanda, you can see the similarities. There's a similar strategy, but of course they're not as rich as Singapore is now. But number one safest country in the world. 98% of Singapore population say it's safe. 78% say it's safe in Rwanda. The number one in Africa. I've been to Cape Town, which they pretend is the nicest. Anybody been Cape Town? Some people don't call it Africa because if you get on a plane from England to Cape Town, you're probably the only black person on the flight. Because white people think it's very safe to go South Africa, to go Cape Town. Why? Because it's a very white city. Does that make sense? So they love it. Oh, it's safe, it's lovely, whatever. When you're actually there, everybody tells you be careful. Don't go out at night. It's not safe, right? We even got in a taxi with a sister. And by the time she took us where she was taking us, we were thinking, we got to get out of this place. Because she was going on about kidnapping and all kind of stuff. We went out to dinner with somebody and they were telling us about home invasions. We're thinking, you guys are not selling this place to us. So not safe. And lowest debt ratio in the region. Right. So a few other things. One of the strategies and one of the things in Rwanda, they look at what are they good at? What could we be good at, or what could we do in our country? Remember, Africa has got phenomenal minerals and resources, but Rwanda is not one of those countries. It has some, and they're developing their mining, but nowhere near as like a South Africa or a DRC, if that makes sense. So they've got to think, what could we do in a country that hasn't got the sea, but we're regional, we're in a good position in a region. What could we develop? So one of the things they've been developing is conferences and exhibitions. Has anybody heard of this MICE? Meetings, incentives, conferences and exhibitions. It's a concept of anybody in the events industry calls it the MICE. Number one is Cape Town, partly because a lot of white folks want to go to Cape Town. They like Cape Town, but Cape Town is nice. I'm not saying it's not nice. If you travel there to the convention center, it's lovely, good infrastructure, everything's lovely. But then people like me will be asking, why's that brother got no shoes? Why them guys sleeping on the verge? You know, some of the stuff that other people don't care to notice, but I'm asking, why has that brother got no shoes on? So you're in this lovely developed place, but it's a lot of problems. So the other one is bilingual because a lot of French speakers are in Rwanda, but also English is the main colonial language, as well as their own key Rwandan language, as well as a bit of Swahili as well. A lot of education going on. Now, I'll tell you about Innovation City in a bit. Fantastic connectivity, ICT, all of that they're big on that. And just the last bits, when you look at the averages in Africa, and this was when I did this in 2023, one of the things I thought was embarrassing is Rwanda has only really been developing in any serious way in the last 30 years, right? Since the genocide. And you could argue even since 2020, not even 94, since 2020, 2000, sorry, when the new president or the then new president came in, Kagame. So how have they achieved so much in such a short time? Because most of the African countries were independent long before this, wasn't it? Why are they so underdeveloped? So life expectancy in other parts of so-called sub-Saharan Africa, we don't like using this term, but we need to use it just because we understand the kind of North Africa is kind of considered more Arab and less Africans, right? So life expectancy after all these years of independence is only 60. So I'm in trouble. If I was West African, I just turned 60, so I ain't got much longer. So life expectancy in Rwanda is already nearly 70 years old, and that was in 23, and it's just getting better every year. They're building phenomenal hospitals, and they want to be a regional power in healthcare. They want people to come to Rwanda for healthcare tourism. So check that out. And they got surgery there and everything now. I mean, it's phenomenal. So school years, look at that. The average school years in in the rest of Africa is 10. And in Rwanda, it's over 11, and it was 6 before. Per capita spending is low because the rest of Africa is probably around 4,000, but per capita is only 1,000. So how does Rwanda look so good and is so well organized, so clean, with good roads and electric? Who lives in a road with? If I drive, I live in Chingford, northeast London. If I drive 10 minutes up the road, it's pitch black. As soon as I go just slightly outside London, it's pitch black, the street. The roads, no lights. And we just are used to that, living here, that as soon as you go in the countryside, it's all dark. But when I'm in Rwanda, all the roads got lights. And this is the 5th richest economy in the world. We're pitch black. If I go on the M1 at night, I only have to go a certain miles up the M1 and it's pitch black. Right? So it's interesting. It's not how much money you have, it's how you choose to spend it. How much potholes do you go through when you're driving through London?
Too
I mean,
many.
it's ridiculous. So that was us just getting off the plane. So is that a modern plane? Is that plane good enough for us? Good enough for me? Proper Boeing plane, digital screens. I'm watching all the films and, you know, documentaries and all that when I'm on the plane. All the good stuff. I do tell them about the breakfast, though. When they give us breakfast, instead of them giving us a Rwandan breakfast, they give us continental breakfast. So you know what I say to them, brother? What continent we talking about? Because they give me a croissant for breakfast. So I tell them off about that. I think that's it for in terms of this. That was just us arriving. That was back in 2023. That was my wife, my sons, and my father-in-law. So that was just a bit of context, really. So what we did more recently when we went is, as I said, we were strategic about meeting certain people. So if you know anything about Africa, Rwanda, you know they have the Rwandan Development Board. It's a one-stop shop for business. So if you go there, you can open a business, you can open a bank account, and you can get all your licenses. So if you need a license to sell meat or vegetables or a license to do mining or whatever, it's all in one place. So you're not going from this person to that person, and no bribes. Don't offer a bribe to anybody. You might end up getting arrested. So if they say it's £10 or $10 or whatever it is, that's what it is. Oh, this is the other interesting thing. Who's been to Ghana recently? Anybody been to Ghana? You have to get a visa, right? You have to send your passport to the Ghana embassy in London. Wait for a couple of weeks, get your visa. It's like $60 or something like that, $100. I can't remember how much it is. Now, the question I ask Africa, is do you want us to come? Because for me to travel to your country, I've got to send my passport to the passport off to the embassy and pay $60 to come. So if I'm taking my family of 4 or 5, you're giving me this big tax to come to your country, and I've got to send my passport off. What if I don't live in London? This is crazy. It's madness.
Yeah, and you know you don't need that anymore to even go to China.
Exactly.
the
There's lots of
UK.
countries we don't even need a visa. Why are
No
you making it so
visa.
difficult? Guess what the situation is with Rwanda? Any African country, anybody in an African country wants to go to Rwanda, visa free. You just go. And if you're traveling from here, Heathrow, straight to Rwanda, visa on arrival. It used to be $10. We didn't pay anything. The last 2 times I went, we just walked straight through. No penny, didn't pay anything. There's no visa now. Well, there's a visa, but it's just visa on arrival. So
Well,
unless you're
visas are, when you have to pay for it like that, sorry, it's a hustle, really, isn't it?
it's yes. But the thing is, I don't even mind. Yes, you're trying to raise money for the country. I've got no problem with that. But we can make it electronic or pay on arrival. So when you arrive, you just pay the money and you go through. This nonsense about sending your, because nobody really wants to give in their passport because you're always worried that if anything goes wrong or they say they lost it, you can't travel.
Yeah.
So you don't really want to hand your passport to anybody. And if you don't live in London, you don't really want to post your passport because there's that nervousness that, as I said, if that passport gets lost, you basically can't travel. So it's not a really good arrangement. I think they got to get rid of that. So that's the first thing when you arrive in the country, you just walk straight through. It's very good. And you can just jump in a taxi and go where you're going. Nobody bothers you. And I know, is there not any Nigerian brothers in the house or sisters in the house?
Yeah.
If you ask anybody going to Nigeria, can I just rock up in Nigeria and get a taxi? People will look at you and say, I don't think that's a good idea. You need somebody to meet you at the other end. Because
That's
before the end of the day, you might not have your shirt on your back. Right? So you can't just rock up to Lagos and just hire a taxi and just take you to the, hotel. You might not quite make it, And I talk to Nigerians regularly who, when I ask them, would you go back home? They're saying, well, things ain't, I don't think it's safe. This is one of the problems, right? So we want to go somewhere where it's safe, where we can walk out at night, anytime, day or night, nothing will happen to you. This is what we want. So anyway, so just a few pointers. When we went, as I said, we went strategic. A few things I wanted to find out. So one of the things I liked was they had a golf club. They got this beautiful golf club there. So we went back to it because they said they were building a new complex. So unfortunately, when I went in 2024, they were just going to open it. So they said I couldn't visit it because it's opening the next day. So I literally I wasn't allowed to visit it. Fair enough. So when I went back this time, myself and my wife, we said, right, we're going to go and visit this golf club. So we went in. It's absolutely beautiful. What a venue. And so we asked them how much it is. It's I think it's $2,400 for an annual membership. Who owns the golf club? The government. Who hangs out at the golf club? Ministers, the president is seen there at times. So we said, as soon as we arrive, when we travel there, the first thing we're going to do is get our membership to that golf club because this is the place to hang out, right? But they have swimming pool, tennis, nice. They have 3 dining spaces, and they have conferencing, small conferencing for small meetings. I said, that's where I want to have my business meetings. This is the place to hang out. Fantastic place. And it's got the gym as well. It's got the gym. So everything's in one place.
And the property that you are interested in, what's the proximity to that place? It's
about less than 20 minutes away.
Okay, good.
So nice distance. That was another criteria. How far is it from the golf club? I don't want it too far away because I know I'm checking out this golf. I don't even play golf.
But you will be soon.
But I will be soon. And I met a brother. I met a brother recently, and he said he'll teach me everything I need to know about golf before I go. He said, don't worry, we'll teach you about golf. So he said that in the winter, when it was coming up to winter. So he said, when it's summertime, now the clocks are changing. We've got to get some clubs and go and play some golf with this brother so he can teach us to play golf. There's a black golfing association as well. We'll have to join that as well.
Over in Rwanda or
no, here in the one here. Yeah. But there, I'm sure, this is where the big people hang out. So it's a place.
Well, I think most people misunderstand, Asari, that these are not bourgeois things. These are basic skills that everybody's got to learn if they are serious about life. Because if, you're trying to be a complete human being, you've gone up to 40s, 50s, 60s. Many people still can't swim, don't know how to ride a horse, don't know how to hit a golf ball, don't know how to play tennis, The only games we know how to generally play is football. So, and these games are not for Tiger Woods status. It really is to walk and talk and to do business in the
100%.
open. It's to walk and talk, So these are basic cultural things that we should know and instill in our children.
And we need to learn how to network effectively. So playing golf is one,
Absolutely.
playing a bit of tennis is another. My mom had middle class aspirations for me. She sent me to tennis lessons when I was young. I used to roller skate from Harlesden to Sudbury, just north of Wembley. Roller skate all the way. I probably was terrorizing the street because I was roller skating through the. I used to roller skate all the way there and all the way back. But anyway, so
that was with four wheels, not blades.
Yeah, and that was a four wheels, and my mom was preparing me for something she knew would happen in years to come. So that's quite interesting, isn't it? She always used to say, "Walk upright." Yeah. No slouching, walk upright. And my mom used to teach me how to, lay a table. Anybody know about laying table?
Yeah, of course.
She told me how to put the forks, the knives, the spoons. She taught us all that. And when we were young, we thought it was foolishness. But now, when I put on the whole black tie dinner stuff, and I sit at a table, I'm not the one who puts the bread on the wrong side. Because I was taught how to do it.
Or use the wrong fork and knife.
And use the wrong fork and knife, People are sitting next to me and they whisper in my ear. They said, how are we supposed to do this? So I just...
it got...
So I always tell them how it works, Tell them how it works. Put the bread on the left, take the knives and forks from the outside in. And it's just... My mom was preparing me and preparing us for future opportunities. And I'm always grateful for what she taught us. It's very, very important. So the other thing I wanted to check out was obviously business opportunities. Yes. There's lots of stuff to be done around business development. They want people to do businesses, but of course, capacity building, just like here, a lot of people want to open a business, but they don't necessarily know how. And they don't necessarily have the seed money, but there's loads of opportunities in Africa. One of the things that they recognize is if they can give people electricity, good electricity and fast internet, young people will do the rest. Because all people need is a mobile phone or a cheap laptop and they can change the world. So they're making sure that people have good internet, good tech. And their innovation city is a master plan. Let me see if I can get that. It's basically a master plan of how they're going to put together an area with 4,500 students where they're looking to put, it's a bit like the Silicon Valley concept, where you put a lot of people in one place, a number of universities in one place, and you have that synergy of people learning from each other. So you have businesses, shops, apartments, and you have this 4,500 tech students all in one place. And these tech students are from all over Africa. It's not Rwanda only. So when you see the universities that they're developing high tech universities, bringing the tech relationships with the big tech companies from around the world. Does anybody remember what happened in COVID when the vaccines were being rolled out? That Africa was complaining that they couldn't get hold of any vaccines. Because this same old problem that the vaccines that we want, only, 10% of the vaccines that Africa use are manufactured in Africa. Rwanda was one of the countries who said, we can never let this happen again, where we're begging the world for something that we could do for ourselves.
And so I tell Rwanda, you what, sorry, continue.
Yeah, so he looked around the world at some opportunities, and they've got in a relationship with a high-tech pharmaceutical companies in Germany, and they've already put boots on the ground and already put bricks in to build capacity for them to do their own vaccines and medicines at a capacity of millions. So if we ever have any problems again, we can produce our own stuff for our own continent. So
I tell you what was interesting. I was listening to an interview from the CEO of BlackRock, Larry Fink, and he was saying not to send your children to university because those courses that they're on at Harvard and Yale and whatnot, AI will be taking over those jobs. Like accounting is nearly a trade of the past. And it's funny, I was calling a chiropractor today, and I called him at 6:20, and I thought I was actually speaking to the receptionist, but
It was AI.
it was, but very convincing. You know, hi Hakeem. I was like, it took me a minute. It took me a minute. So, this is rolling out very fast. So it's very important to put our young people in these kind of environments where they're focused on
Absolutely.
on technology.
And check this. If you know anything about AI, because I'm using, like, I was just listening to one in my LinkedIn, because I've got a sister who's doing AI on my LinkedIn, and they're sending voice messages, and it's an AI. So if a brother called Michael speaks to you on there, it's AI, right? He calls himself Michael, but it's an AI message. So yes, this is the world we're living in. But check this. I was listening to the chief exec of BlackRod yesterday morning. He was on Wake Up to Money, wasn't he, on Radio 5 Live early yesterday morning, and it was interesting.
Same guy.
Yeah, same guy. One of the things with AI, it needs huge amounts of electricity.
Yeah.
So ask this question: what is Africa doing to get ready for this tech revolution? Because if you ain't got serious electric, you can't run these high AI machines. Now, check this out. With what's going on with Iran and the Middle East, some of these Middle Eastern countries have realized that when it comes down to it, America ain't got our back. So you've asked us to put our military bases in our countries, and then when it came down to it, you never defended us. You just left us.
Yeah.
So some of the countries, some of the tech companies around the world are scratching their head thinking, hang on a minute, we put these data centers in these countries. This is a volatile part of the world. Where can we put the data centers? So places like Rwanda, if you get nuclear power, can you see the serious electrical power means that you could put AI and you can put those data centers in a country like that, but you can't put data center in a country where they can't even light the street up. You know, you haven't got consistent power. There's nobody's going to invest in your country to put something in where the power keeps going off. Does that make sense? But if you've got nuclear power and you've got massive capacity, means you can put data centers in a country like that. Because also with tech, anybody knows these data centers, they need a lot of cooling as well.
Yeah.
So you have to have air conditioning on them 24 hours because if they get too hot, it crashes.
Yeah.
So this is the capacity of building. And when they're looking at the tech in Rwanda, they realize that tech is the way to go. So yes, if you're going to go university, yes, you might, as the brother said, you might need a few technical jobs, but a lot of AI is going to take over a lot of that stuff. But what we want is the next tech revolution. Has anybody heard of the maths Olympiad? There's a thing called the Olympiad, which basically it started in the Soviet Union days, but there's a number of countries around the world where they have maths Olympiads. In other words, they do math challenges between young people around the world. So the top math students around the world compete to see who's the best maths genius around the world. Rwanda has caught on to this, and I met the brother Gator. The brother's from the United States. He's an academic from the United States, the brother. I met him and his wife because we went out to dinner with his wife as well, who's a sister who's got a business there as well. Because I saw them on YouTube. So I reached out to him on LinkedIn and I said, let's meet up because I'll be in town. So I met him and he took us around the African Olympiad Academy in Rwanda, one of the few in the whole continent. And they have students from at least 8 African countries. They want to extend it to all African countries. These are the best maths, because I'm thinking these are just people who can afford, rich Africans who are sending their children there because it's full board, right? So I'm thinking these are rich kids. Their parents have sent them to this place to learn maths. But they said, no. This is not for rich kids. This is for the sharpest math students in Africa. So they have to go through thousands of students to get these top ones. And they're funding it, so they give them full board. So these are the top math students. So what they're doing is they've got the vision to say, it's no good just giving them the top math students. They got to prepare them to be the top students in top universities, because these people will walk into a scholarship. Because when you're that good at maths, the top universities in the world will just open their doors to you because they want the top people, right? If you say you're the top 10 math students in Africa, there's no problem with you getting in a university. They'll just give you a place.
Oh yeah.
So what
Even
they're
if you
preparing
can play cricket, Asari, and you're the top cricketer, whatever it is, you know, that scholarship is there waiting for you.
They wait for you, right? So what they're thinking is, we don't want these people to go over there and don't come back. So they want people like me and people like some of the people here where we add value to them. So we're doing some arrangement. Anybody can help. We want to send some books over there. So they want academic books because these children are like late teens, sort of middle teens to early to late teens. So they're quite young. So we don't want kids' books or anything like that. We want tech books, but Pan-African books, progressive books to send to these young people because they want to give them a rounded education. You know, when you meet some tech people, they can be a bit limited in their mindset because if you learn tech in this country, you don't get a rounded education. You just think tech, but you're not thinking about your country.
Yeah.
So they're teaching them a broad education because they want them to change the world when they come back. They want them to be the next Microsoft.
That was also one of the big issues with going to Cuba and being taught, you know, medicine. And many who would receive those courses were instructed that they would receive, you know, the education pretty much free of charge under the proviso that you take it back to your country. But many were not taking it back to their country and going to places like America, you know, different parts of Europe and earning that big wage, right? So hence, I know the relationship with Jamaica and Cuba was severed for the same reason. Many were going out and they were getting this experience, but they weren't bringing it back to the country that they're supposed to bring it back to help to boost.
Absolutely. So you need to educate them to make sure they come back, or you do conditions that there's either funding or something to get them to come back. But the way they motivated these young people, why wouldn't you want to go back to Rwanda? You see, if your country's broke down, this is back to this problem again. If you got no electricity, you know, when you left the country, there was no electric, your parents are struggling, the place is not developed, the country's corrupt. What are you coming back to?
So your main then driver then, Asari, is really the progressive nature of the government and the progressive nature of the people. So as much as we love Africa, as much as we love the Caribbean, different parts of the world, if the country, you're saying, is not on an upward trajectory and the infrastructure is not being put in place for those concerned to thrive, then it's pointless us wasting our few years. And I tell you this for nothing. I remember the first time I went to the Gambia, it was in 1991. And again, like when I came off the plane, everywhere was dark. Everybody would gather in 91 around a shop that had light. But as soon as you would drive away, you're in total darkness, people walking in darkness, right? And if you didn't have good lights on your car, you could easily knock somebody over because there was no pavement there, dust everywhere. And I'll be honest with you, I got there on Monday, I think it was. And by Tuesday, I wanted to get a flight home. I needed to leave. It wasn't for me. Do you understand? You know, there's different things for different people. It was way too challenging for me. And as a consequence, I'm ready to go home because everywhere they're taking me, there's no similarity to the basic things that I was accustomed to, basic things. Then I met Ambrose Mendy there, the great boxing promoter, and he advised me, look, you can't get out of here until Sunday. There's only 2 fights a week. And you missed the one yesterday. So buckle down, man. You're going to be here till Sunday. And by God's grace, he was able to help me to pull my flight forward because I was meant to be there longer. And I ended up leaving. And it was the same when I first went to Ghana. Last time I went, it was a lot more progressive. But the first time I went to Ghana, it was similar. beautiful country. I had such a great time. But I saw the work that needed to be done was so enormous that I knew in my lifetime I couldn't affect a positive change. So hence the reason why I was more attracted to little islands in the Caribbean and places that I can see development in my lifetime. Because in order for these large tracts of land and these massive countries to see meaningful change, not just in a little isolated area, but throughout the country, it would take a long time.
Absolutely. It takes so long.
But if the revenue, like for instance, you mentioned Nigeria has more than enough money and resources to lift that country. That country could be Dubai in one generation.
Absolutely.
It could be Dubai in one generation with all of the oil, and probably, hopefully, now that the oil dynamic is moving from the east, hopefully with what Akilo Dangote is doing in Nigeria, those who can't get oil from, from the Persian Gulf area can now focus on trying to strike good deals with African countries where the money will stay in these African countries. Because many of the leaders, dear brother, are actually growing up a bit now.
Yes,
and maturing a bit.
They're starting to show some progressive moves. We've got Burkina Faso, we've got Botswana, we've got Ghana, we've got Namibia. There's a number of countries now that are
Senegal is doing good.
Senegal's doing some good work as well. My wife was in Senegal.
Addis Ababa is doing well.
Ethiopia's booming now, and Ethiopia's got the population of over 200 million. If they continue in that path, they're going to be a superpower. They're going to overtake Nigeria in 10 years.
And you know the reason why they would do it? You know the reason why they would do it? It's because spiritually and religiously, they don't worship a European God down there.
No,
and their version of what they call Christianity is not from a Eurocentric perspective. It's from an Afrocentric perspective. And as a consequence of that, they don't worship the funny fella on the cross, you see? And by not worshiping the funny fella on the cross, you can make good progress. So,
absolutely.
That's the wind beneath their wings is...
Well, check this one. The president in Rwanda closed down 6,000 churches.
Yeah, it has to be that way.
Right? 6,000 churches. And now a lot of Christians looked at that and thought, he's anti-Christian. Why is he closing down all the churches? And by the way, he just had a meeting. If you look at it on social media, he just had a meeting with the Muslims in Rwanda, the whole arena full of Muslims where he's talking to them about we should respect each other and so on and so on. I've not heard of any tension between the Christian and the African community and the Christian and Muslim community in Rwanda. It's a small community, but he put on a meeting just for the Muslim community to show them that you're part of the country as just as much as anybody else. And
very good. So tell us, where is the smart money going in Rwanda?
Yeah, so the smart money is on a number of areas. There's a number of areas. Certainly.
Because Sylvina wants to know where the smart money is.
Yes. So agriculture is one of them. If you can develop finished products, anything to do with manufacturing or finished products is there. Because they again don't want extraction, what they call extraction. You just take the minerals out and manufacture in Europe. They don't want that. They want you to manufacture inside the country and create jobs. So anything to do with manufacturing is good. Construction is of course booming, and housing is of course booming. So housing is a good market to invest in. I always cautious with people with housing though, because I always say just remember the impact you can have as an external person investing in housing. So just think about how do you want to do it? Because if there's a danger that, and they're already talking about it, that if too many foreign people buy up the land and do Airbnbs. So when I see people promoting that, I'm a little bit cautious because there's a danger that you're not building housing for people, you're building housing for business. So if you're just building housing, thousands and thousands of properties, and all you're doing is Airbnb in this, we need a bit of Airbnb, but the country's just got to be a bit careful because obviously local people won't be able to afford anything. And
that's the problem that they have in Spain and Italy and these countries. Why the locals they were firing water pistols at the tourists because they're saying the tourists are pushing up the prices in their local areas and they can't find anywhere to rent because rather than people rent their property at market rates, they're Airbnb them at above market rates. So those properties are no longer available to the local people. So we've had big problems in Spain and Italy and Greece and these places over the same issue. So most certainly you'll have the same in
same
Rwanda.
Challenges.
Yeah,
so they're trying to build more social housing. So if you can invest and build housing that is more affordable, and the thing is, it's just an economic decision, because if you look at some of the videos in China, you can prefab buildings. You've got those special bricks that you can build a house in no time. China built a 10-story block in 2 days.
Yeah, that's through 3D printing.
Yeah, 3D printing system. So you can build affordable housing if that's what you want to do, and you could still sell it for a profit, but not extortionate, so local people could still afford to buy it. And you can have that model. You know, Singapore has a model where most of the people in Singapore own their own home, but the government owns nearly all of the property. And what they do is you can buy it at a reduced cost, and then when you finish your mortgage, it's yours. So most
like
people in Singapore own their own home.
What do they call that?
Shared ownership.
Shared ownership. Yeah.
It's that kind of system, but they own it. So there's a lot of more respect for property, of course, because most people own, and so on and so on. So the other thing to invest in is, so not just property, is infrastructure, of course. They want lots of infrastructure, but they also have sports tourism. So again, this is where Rwanda is strategically clever. Do you know how many African countries build stadiums for a World Cup or the AFCON or whatever, and then it's a white elephant? Because when you build a stadium for 80,000 people, if you don't have a local sports facilities where that's going to make money, it's just going to sit there empty, because you're not getting that kind of people again. You only had one tournament and then that's it. So it's a white elephant. What Rwanda learned very early on is build an arena, not just a stadium. And then what they did is they refurbished their stadium to make it FIFA quality. Guess what's going in Rwanda right now? They've got the FIFA series. I had to look up what that was. I still don't understand what it is, but there's a FIFA series that's not as well as the World Cup. That there's a football tournament going on in Rwanda soon, because they've got a FIFA standard stadium next to the arena. So they create a complex there. So the arena, basically, you know, like Wembley Arena, like that kind of place, like the O2. They've built something like that. Now, arenas make money, because you know how difficult it is to bring a star to a football stadium if you need 80,000 people. You got to be like Beyonce level to get 80,000 people in a stadium. But if you've got an arena that sits 5,000, you can have a phenomenal concert, but it's more affordable and more practical to get that rented out on a weekly basis, because you only got so many stars in the world that can fill an 80,000 stadium. So most of the year it's empty.
And also what they did in Abu Dhabi, right, on a place called Yas Island, they turned the arena into a Grand Prix, you know, or fit for F1. So again, you know, you can change these players, have them multi-purpose, and you know, you can invite F1 down into the first country in Africa.
Well, check this out. Rwanda is looking to get F1 for 2029.
Yeah, so those are the things you do.
What Rwanda is very strategic and clever with the conference center. They invite people around the world who have magnificent conferences around the world, and they go to them and say, "Have you ever had it in Africa?" Which they know what the answer is. Why don't you bring it here? So the first FIFA World Conference in Africa was in Rwanda 2 years ago. The first F1 World Conference was in Rwanda last year. And of course, they're having conversations behind the scenes to say South Africa was the only country in Africa to have a Formula One. Now they want to put it in Rwanda. And you know that the number one cycling competition in the world, street cycling competition in the world, was in Rwanda just a few months ago. So they've already shown they can put on a massive tournament in their country. And the world, you know, African Basketball League, BAL, they got the Basketball Africa League, but they call it BAL. They launched an event here earlier this year, and because we're a connection with Rwanda, we went to it, and they were asking for franchises across Africa. Guess where the finals are held? At the arena. Yeah, and lots of these big African events are held there. Davido and all these kind of superstars have been in the Rwanda arena because it's that kind of arena. So they've got basketball, they've got softball, they've got concerts. It's making money all the time. Then you have a brother who invested in Zaria Court. So I saw this on YouTube. Zaria Court it's got a open basketball area, but it's got shops and it's got eating and it's got hotel. Because what they were saying is when people go to the stadium or the arena, they just go back home. But actually, you put in the infrastructure to say when you go to the arena, you got 5,000 people, 20,000 people, 40,000 people going to the arena. You then create the infrastructure around it so people can go shopping, they can go for a meal. You know, when people come to London, you don't just go to the theatre. They say, let's go for a meal, let's go a bit of shopping, and then we'll go to the theatre after. Do you see how they build this infrastructure around it? This is strategic. So this is how they're building the economy and building money there. So that's another area. If you can invest in sports tourism and that kind of stuff, brilliant. And what they do is they get the big company, the big the NBA and people like that to say, will you put a certain amount of basketball courts in the country? They say to FIFA, put in a certain amount of football courts in the country. So you're building the infrastructure of the country and the capacity of the country. And of course, Rwanda closes down the area in Kigali once a month. No car day, no car morning, to get everybody walking, get them into exercise and get people walking around and stuff. So yeah, there's lots of areas to invest in. If you can invest in retail is still an opportunity. They don't ask you to invest in retail, but I know that because I've been there. Because they're not going to encourage you to come and open a shop necessarily unless it's a massive chain. But it is an opportunity. There's only one major supermarket chain, Simba. There's some others emerging now, but Simba's the main one. I've been trying to find out who owns it. I believe it's African, but I think it might be an Asian from Kenya. I'm not sure, but I'm trying to find out who owns it.
Tell me this, by way of permanent residency, what do you need to do in order to obtain permanent residency?
Yes, I've been looking into this. So I believe there's a number of different visas. So the visa we're going to go for is a business visa and working visa. So my wife, at the moment, if that job continues, she works for a South African company that pays her a regular salary. So she can say, if I live here, I don't need a job. I'm not going to take anybody's job and I don't need any assistance. Now, and I would be able to say, I've got a business, I've opened a business in Rwanda, I've got money coming from the UK, I have my pension, I've got a ready income. So I also can have a business visa. I'm not going to take any money out of the country in terms of saying I'm destitute or whatever it is. So you can have retirement visa, you got the business visa. I think you can get working visa, but I think you'd have to get a job somewhere. I don't think you can just get it and then get a job because they're going to say, how are you going to live? So there's a number of different visas, and my understanding is very straightforward. We met an African-American sister there. She got hers while she was there. She was there a few weeks. We just met her in the supermarket. She heard us speaking and we just ended up chatting and we became friends. She's moving there later this year. And she's already got her visa, everything sorted out. She said they helped her. She sat down with them. They go through it all with you. She opened her business, all registered, all done. In a few weeks, she was there. So it's a very easy process.
And so tell me,
Ethiopians own Simba. Okay.
So tell me, what about the tax liabilities there?
I don't know enough about it, but I do know that there are incentives for you to be able to take money out of the country, capital out. So if you invest significant money, they give you incentives. If you invest in their what they call the high value or the things that they're encouraging you to invest in, and you bring in money, you can take capital out. You can have tax-free periods where you don't pay taxes for a period. So there's a lot of incentives to encourage you to be there. Apparently, they're very good at collecting taxes as well. They don't ramp, which is typical of Rwanda.
So the jails are filled?
Well, they showed me when I was there. MMA, that was there in Rwanda as well. Yes, that's true. They showed us people queuing up in the Rwanda, the RDB, Rwanda Development Board. And the guy said to me, what do you think they're queuing for? So one person that was with me said, is it benefits? They're getting like benefits or something? He said, no, they're queuing up to pay tax.
Wow.
Check that, because they don't play in that country. You know, I had a delegation over from Nigeria some years ago. And one of the dilemmas they had is they have a very, very low tax base. because hardly anybody's paying taxes.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why the country is going to have trouble, because you've got a lot of money in the country, but people aren't paying tax, because the culture and the collection and the corruption is such a problem that you're not collecting high levels of taxation. So you can't develop the country if you're not collecting money.
Okay. So as we wind down, Asari, Silvina, did you have any points you wanted to ask brother, particularly on this wonderful trip that he had and the declaration that he has made, you know, that he will soon be a citizen of Rwanda? Are there any questions you'd like to put to brother?
Yes, there was a couple. Thank you. There were a couple. Firstly, Brother Sorry, nice to see you after all this time again.
Thank you.
You said that you could save £2,000 a month if you moved to Rwanda sooner rather than later. I know that's the cost of living, but what is it about the cost of living that would afford you to save that amount of money per month?
Yeah, good question. So I'll give you the example. So the properties we saw, we saw 3 4-bedroom properties, and most of them have 3 4-bedroom bathrooms, and a lot of them are ensuite as well. Oh, Lionel, when you building property there, put a bath in. I have to put it on my bucket list that when I live in Rwanda, I've got to put a bath. They don't have baths.
Can't stand up all the time.
Nobody puts a bath in. Everywhere's a shower.
Yeah.
And I said to them, you got to put at least 1 bath in the house.
Yeah, that's true.
So at least we can have a bath if you feel like having a bath. But anyway, that's a sore subject. But they're all very large living rooms. And this is the properties we saw, and most of the ones we've seen on social media as well. Very large living rooms, nice modern kitchens. They do need a bit of work on some of the finishing. That's one of the challenges they're having. So I think they need a bit more competition, or a bit more, that could be an area to invest in actually, is the finishing. Because even the Airbnb we stayed in is a brand new block. And I'm looking at it thinking, but there's a gap in the window. There's a gap in the window there. There's a hole.
It's a mastic.
What's going on here, man? We need a bit of mastic here. That, you know, what's this about? But luckily, one of the good things in Rwanda is you don't get much mosquitoes. But the price of the property. So these properties we're looking at about $110,000.
Wow.
So 110,000 pounds roughly for 3 4-bedroom properties.
So it's a square foot.
I'm not sure that because I tend to go for, you know, bedroom size rather than square foot, so I tend to get confused with the square foot. But these are good size 3 and 4 bedrooms, because most of them will have ensuite bathrooms. So they got 3 or 4 bathrooms in. They have usually as many bathrooms as bedroom, if not one more. So that's another thing. They even have a dresser area, and they all have a little sink in the living room for you to wash your hands before you eat, which is kind of a nice little thing. But no, they're nice houses, and a lot of them have balconies. There's something about balcony, because it's the land with 1,000 hills. A lot of places, like the one we liked was the apartment, because it's on a hill, there's a lot of balconies. So a lot of properties are built with outdoor balconies. So you've got large spaces. Some of them are really big, where you can like have a barbecue up there or whatever.
So tell us, what is then the monthly cost of one of those?
Yeah, so that property that we saw, so many of them, we're talking about £500 a month. So a 3-bedroom apartment, a large 3-bedroom apartment in a nice area. That nice area that we spoke about was about £500 a month.
That is.
And you don't have council
Do you have any
tax.
images of those?
Yeah, do you want me to show you?
Yeah.
Show us.
Let me show you.
There's some people I need to send over there.
Refugees. Hopefully they're not refugees.
Man, if you can live in a 4-bedroom house as a refugee, that can't be too bad.
Can you see that one?
Not up yet. There you go. Oh, that looks sweet.
That's nice. So you got the off-street parking.
What's
and
the inside look like?
Everybody has gates.
Okay.
Which
you got any internal shots?
Yeah, we got some internal shots. Can I move that on? Let me just check a second. Let me just see if I can. I might have to change there. See if I can get others. Does it move on? That's some of us. Hold on, let me see if I can get the ones. That's the golf club, by the way.
Okay.
That's my wife walking around. Oh, this was a funny one. The self-service. This is a classic African thing. This is a self-service machine for your parking.
Okay.
But there's a sister doing it for you.
Okay.
They don't quite get in the concept of self-service. The whole point of self-service is that you do it yourself. But this sister is doing it for me.
Okay, we'll get there, brother.
So, so no, I haven't got it on this one. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm going to show you an internal. I'll show you an internal shot. But really, as I said, really nice properties. No, there's no council tax. See if I can say. Oh, right. Let's show you the inside. Inside an apartment. That's not shared, is it?
Not yet.
Let me do it on.
So you're looking for a house, or you're going to be moving to a house?
Yeah, ideally it would be a house. I mean, we would probably rent to start with.
Yeah.
So we get used to the area and we really can see what the place is like. Do you see how big that living room is?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a decent size, nice.
You said a key thing, and that was no mosquitoes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's decent.
They're nice places.
Yeah. We just need to see what's happening on the inside. Yeah.
This was the apartment we saw finally. You see how you're looking over the city?
Okay.
That was the living room. And we said this is the one. If we were there now, we said we're taking this.
And how much would something like that rent for?
500. This is 500 a month.
Wow.
3-bedroom. Look at that living room. And you're overseeing the city, big bay windows. You've got the balcony. Yeah, so that point I want to mention about mosquitoes. So I've been there 4 times, and I think the first time I got bitten was when I went last time. And I'm not even sure it was mosquitoes, because usually I get a bit of a reaction to mosquitoes. They're really irritating compared to like a little bite from a little thing. But I looked it up, and there's a number of reasons there's hardly any mosquitoes. It's high altitude. So mosquitoes don't thrive well in high altitude. And also there's not much water. A lot of poor countries have the sewage water around the place, and untreated water where they thrive in thousands of them. So you're going to get eaten up a lot with that. When I went to Ghana last, I was this was the house donated by Garvey, the Garvey son. He donated the house to the AAPRP, and we were staying there. But it was an old house that needed a bit of work.
Yeah.
And the toilets didn't work properly, and a few bits and pieces. I was getting bitten all the time because I was sleeping on the sofa. I was getting bitten all the time. So that was terrible. But when I'm in Rwanda, you don't get bitten, as I said, high altitude, but also they spray. And it's very, very clean. You don't get rubbish land. It's just sitting around, and drains that are just there. They're all clean. So I don't even see a mosquito. I heard the first mosquito one night. It's the first time I've heard a mosquito all the time I was there. We didn't have any air conditioning. We just opened the door.
Like for me, that would probably influence a decision of where I live 99%.
It's such an irritation.
Like that and those sandflies, like 99%. You cannot enjoy a country if you're being set upon by those. They're parasites, really.
And you can't enjoy
see
the
them
evening
coming, but they live off of you.
And you can't enjoy your evening because
you cannot enjoy
you want to be out.
And the beauty, the bittersweet about those things is the itch is so sweet. Like there's no better feeling than to scratch a mosquito bite, but you pay the price.
You got scars all over you, mate.
Yeah. And terrible. I remember I was somewhere recently and I smacked one of them. And brother, the amount of blood that came out of this little thing, it was so disgusting to see how much blood it had taken from its victim or victims.
It's terrible. They're horrible things.
It's a very
that was a big plus for me, that all of these things started to mount up, that this is the place I'm supposed to be, because Guess what the weather forecast is virtually all year round.
Yeah.
Sun comes up about 6 o'clock in the morning. Sun goes down about 6:30 in the evening. You don't get what you get in England, where you get the long evenings and then the dark. It's the same all year round. It gets dark about 6:30, and it's about 26 to 28 degrees all year round, which is my kind of weather. It's not that hot. So most people don't have air conditioning because you don't need it. We didn't have any air conditioning when we were there. We just opened the windows, opened the balcony, and I just put the fan on. If I get a little bit warmer, I put the fan on for a little while, and that's it.
Fantastic. So I just want to, before you go, Asari, is anybody in the audience who wanted to ask a quick question of Asari, as he's been giving us this intriguing account of his experience and his decision to go back home and his place of choice being Rwanda? Does anybody want to ask him a question directly? I don't want to deny you that opportunity. Okay, gave you the chance. Now,
don't be shy.
So, in your conclusion, as we got about 5 minutes left, in your conclusion, what would you say to the audience? Because obviously you're going to leave a massive group of people who love you behind, right? And it would obviously be great to have quite a few or others come and, you know, enjoy the experience that you enjoyed, that afforded you the opportunity to make such a life-changing decision. What would you advise those listening in regards to, you know, travel and making decisions that will affect this?
Definitely.
You know,
well, one of the
third.
things that changed everything was post-COVID technology.
Right.
This is a massive game changer because the world is much smaller than it used to be.
Yeah.
The ability to connect and work and connect with people is enormous. You know, in the Black Business Club I'm running, we developed a Ghana chapter. We had a social in Ghana on Saturday. And I organized with some sisters on the ground. They've got a guest house. They put it there. We had about 20 guests. Very successful. So we want to expand the Black Business Club in Ghana. So that's one of the things we're looking at. Then we're looking at Kenya. We're looking at Uganda next. All of this stuff we're looking at later this year. So the world is so more connected. And we have these kind of institutions like this where my vision is to have wherever our people are, we have the business club members. So if you want to do business or you want to travel to some part of the world, you got somebody on the inside who you can ask, how does it work? Can you meet me? How do I get this? How do I do that? How do I do business in this area? Who do I need to speak to? And you've got somebody on the ground locally who you are just in the same club, you can just connect with them and make your move. The way other communities can do that around the world. So yeah, you've got to make a decision, obviously, about your family. Now, my parents are no longer around. My two sons are here. I'd love them to come with me. And hopefully one day I can build a legacy for them to have a passive income. They're going to have a property. They will have the other income coming in. They've got from their other side of their family as well. They've got some opportunities they're going to inherit anyway. But I want them to inherit a business as well as property. And you just got to look at it that way. It's only 8.5 hours flight. They can fly over. I would come back here at least twice a year minimum. There's a big conference in April I go to, BizX, so I'll come back for that every year because I'm in the region. I checked out with Action Coach if there's any problem with the franchise. That was one of the first things I did when I come back. They said, no problem. You can have your franchise in the UK and you can live somewhere else. So it doesn't affect my ability to run my business and have clients here in the UK. And because of technology, most of my clients are online anyway. So when I was over there, I was just seeing my clients as normal. I was just having coaching sessions. If I didn't tell them I was abroad, they wouldn't know the difference.
Right.
It just continues. So I just think you think about all the things that are important to you. Healthcare over there is fine with the private healthcare, or the state system is very, very good as well. So you think about all the things that matter to you. Driving a car, it's left-hand drive, but it's easy to drive around. They've got more speed camera than England. They've got speed camera everywhere.
Well, that's no good, is it?
So that is a bit frustrating. But to be honest, it's okay because the driving is nice over there. 60 kilometers an hour is not too slow. Because 60 kilometers an hour.
That's more than here then.
Is faster than here, yeah. Because even 30 mile an hour here, that's faster than 30 mile an hour.
20 and 30.
Apparently in Rwanda, they brought it down to 40 and they went ballistic.
Yeah,
They said
good.
they said
Mhm.
no, they're not having it.
And the
So they put it
fine
back up to
money is
60.
slightly cheaper as well. It's worth saying.
Yeah, and I don't think they have a point system either. So yeah,
Oh, cool. So it's just a bit. It's just a fine.
just a fine. Yeah, I think it's
Oh,
just a
that's
fine.
cool. I could live there.
But that's what I would say is that look, you want to look at your options. How much does it cost to live? There's no council tax. The energy costs are very low. Of course, they don't need heating, so energy costs are very low. So, you know, when we spoke to people, you basically need your basic internet, say £50 a month. Your rent, let's say 500 a month for a nice place. So you could go and do one for 200 a month. If
And
you didn't
lastly, I want to
mind,
ask you this, by way of Rwandan people. How did you find Rwandan people?
very friendly. But Lionel, you know it as well. They love stare at you. It's something about the
Like
Rwandans. They love to
staring,
stare.
they do like to
So did you find
stare.
yourself saying, "We are the
Well, the funny thing is, but Lionel, because we've been there so often, and the last time we went, we felt like we're living there now. We didn't really think about it. We didn't notice it. The first times we went, especially when I took my sons, we were doing more touristy type things. So they were very conscious the first time they went there that they kept looking at us. But the last time I went, I really didn't. It didn't
Yeah,
seem to. I
Is
didn't
that
seem to
because they
notice it
know
too much.
you're not indigenous?
It's just the way they are. I can't work it out because you could say that in Ghana. Everywhere I go, people know I'm not from there. As soon as you walk down the road, they just know you're not local. But
and
in Ghana, nobody takes no notice of me. You can walk through Ghana, nobody bothers with you. There's no stare. You know, you get the odd person that stares, but you get people who stare anywhere in the world, but they're not staring at you in Ghana like the way they stare at you in Rwanda. But
that's
they're
what needs
very
to be.
friendly.
Yeah, now that's what needs to be explained. The type of staring that's done in Rwanda, people have to go there and see it for themselves and experience it. They literally stop and watch you as you pass.
They stop what they're doing and watch
See,
you.
that's intimidating. Like,
But when you realize they're friendly, you
yeah,
realize
but you
they
need
don't
to
mean
have a
anything.
conversation
They
with
don't
This
mean
someone
one
like
anything.
was
that.
done in an innocent way, so you
They're
know
very
Yeah.
innocent.
untoward, but it's just strange.
Okay.
Very strange. Yeah.
Is that like females or males? Like, help me with this.
Both.
Okay, because if the woman them must stop, then that's one thing. But with the man them,
They're both looking at you. But if you walk, but don't walk around. Well, it's up to you, obviously. But when I'm in Rwanda, I tend to wear. I dress a bit more formally than if I was in the UK. Because if I was in the UK with that kind of warmth, I'd be in my busting my shorts all the time. But in Rwanda, in most parts of Africa, if you wear shorts, they see you as like that's only boys wear shorts. Men don't
right.
wear shorts. So what we see as a bit more fun shorts over here, they see that as men don't wear shorts. If you're not at the gym, you don't wear shorts.
Right.
So they
So it's
see it as a
kind of
little bit fun.
chitchy.
Yeah. And if you wear well, they don't look at it that way, but they think it's a bit odd that you're wearing shorts. And then if women wear shorts, it's a little bit, they're quite conservative. So,
Right.
don't walk around half naked. That's not, but then most parts of
Okay.
Africa are like that. They don't really
Yeah, yeah.
respect that.
Yeah.
Be
Interesting.
modest.
Very interesting. So look, we've really enjoyed the insight, bro. So, I want to have a quick poll. Like any of you who, after hearing what you've heard, would like to, for the last couple of weeks, would like to take a little trip down to Rwanda to see what's going on, give us a number one in the chat so we can, because the question, is that a place you would say, okay, you have an anniversary, whether it's birth or relation, is that somewhere where you could go and just chill out for like a week?
Absolutely. There's beautiful restaurants and nightclubs. We found these nightclubs and we thought, what? This place is firing. And we got
you did that real.
we're a bit past that now, but we wanted to see what it was like. And absolutely lovely. I'm going to do you a surprise here. Let me put this in the chat. Here's a surprise. Here's a link because we're looking to organize a trip in November.
Okay.
So you can click on that link and you can register your interest if you want to go to Rwanda in November. later this year, and we're looking to take over maybe 20 to 30 people if they want to go. We'll organize it around what people kind of want to do. So it's semi-tourism, but also it's mainly to find out about investment and opportunities, and
Good.
but we'll take you to some of the tourist spots as well. But if you want to go and see the gorillas, you're on your own, because we're not really getting into that. But if you want, we're going there to see humans. We'll let the white folks go and see the gorillas. It's $1,500 or something.
Okay. So, spiritual injection, let's take your devices off of mute and show brother Asari some love. Let's show our love and appreciation. Thank you for sharing.
Beautiful presentation. Thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank you,
Greetings. Thank you, brother. Thank you very much.
Yeah, there's so much more. Yeah, there's so much more I wanted to ask you, but I'll ask you offline.
No
So
problem.
yeah, really, really enjoyable, brother. And I wish you and your family all the best for that wonderful move. That's exciting, to move to another country and be free enough to have freed up yourself enough to be able to do something like that. That's very exciting, very exciting. So, kudos for that and congratulations.
Thank you.
And so next week, what we're planning on doing, and do tune in, because we're planning on having our brother Radio Raheem, who's a boxing promoter and very massive boxing promoter who's residing and spending a lot of time in the UK. And he headed up and was very heavily involved in this African tournament that took place the last couple of months. He was at the center of that great tournament that took place down there. So he's going to discuss the future of boxing in Africa and throughout the world. And we'll be having that conversation, God willing, with him next week, this time, in the next couple of weeks at least, what we're going to push for next week. So with that said, do jump on, because he would be a great person for you to network with.
Yeah, be interested.
And work with. It's funny, we were having dinner on Sunday, and as we're having dinner in this restaurant, somebody just walks past and comes in and says, "Oh, Radio Raheem, what are you doing in London?" And started to Instagram live. And it was just so interesting, so funny. And what was so beautiful is that the brother was, he works with young people in the industry, and had a local boxing gym. And brother told him that, he was going to pull up. And within 48 hours, he sent me a picture, inside the brother's gym with these people.
Wow.
And made his word bond within 48 hours, which was a blessing. So it was really nice to see, and to be with people who, when they say they're going to do something, they get it done regardless of their stature.
Get it done.
Just beautiful, really, really beautiful. So we look forward to connecting you, hopefully, inshallah, if not next week, the following week, so that we can move Africa in the direction it needs to go. And I think, quite a few of you should start looking at these opportunities, man. Like, just go and base yourself somewhere else. Just get involved, go and have a little trip, take 4 weeks out, rather than just go for a week, 5 days. You can't see a country in a week. You can't see a country in 5 days. You got to go and just chill out for a month, and just the amount of countries I've been to, Asari, and when it's time to pack and go, it really is time that the vacation has just started, because you stop spending all the money on food and you start to just settle down. And, the second, third week is the time where you're settled and you can start moving independent. And as you said, which was such a great lesson for everybody online, and the importance even of spending time with family or in an Airbnb, is to be able to cook your own food and go throughout the community and acquire, the local resources that you need from the market or the supermarket, and just see whether you can get into a routine. If you like tea, is there a local tea shop? You can go and sit down and read a newspaper or catch up on your emails as opposed to doing everything in your house. Is there a local coffee shop that you can go to and have some coffee and catch up on your emails and prepare your week and go over your calendar? Is there a bread shop? If you like bread, you've got to get bread. Is there a fresh bakery there? Things like that. And as you mentioned, restaurants and cinema, are these things that you're accustomed to wherever you live? You can always move Airbnbs and go and see 3 or 4 areas, 5 areas in a short space of time.
100%.
So to maintain that flexibility, hire a car. And as you mentioned, you've got Waze, you've got Google Maps. You don't need Wi-Fi or data for that. These things are accessible. So, particularly to some of you young people on the call, and some of you have lived a little longer and have savings, it might be wise for you to treat yourself, because they say you haven't lived if you haven't traveled. So it's important that you get your traveling boots on, because it doesn't have to be super expensive. It doesn't have to be super expensive. So I hope you've taken from this the initiative to go and see the world a little bit, put something in your calendar, put something in your bucket list.
Absolutely. £500-600 direct flight from Heathrow. You think about that, and less than $50 a day, you can get Airbnb. I mean, how much?
It's a no-brainer
to go.
Look how expensive the Caribbean is. Like, the Caribbean is one of the most expensive parts of the world to go to. I mean, that place is just so expensive.
Yeah, we just booked to go to a
You can get an economy ticket for nearly 1,500 quid.
It's crazy.
Now, how does that even start to work? And the seat in economy is like trauma. It takes a lot to to fight for space above. You know what I mean? Like, you'd be lucky if you can get a case up there, boy. But anyway, let's not go there. Thank you for a wonderful evening. I hope and pray you got something from this wonderful session. And let's enjoy our weekend, as we're calling the week, or the week is coming to an end. And we look forward to seeing you next week, same place, same time. Those of you who want a spiritual experience, we're back with our study session tomorrow entitled Rising Above Emotion into the Thinking of God. Come and join us, because most of what we do in life, decisions we make, is based upon emotion. So tomorrow we'll be discussing how we can take the emotion out of decision making and think more mathematically. Yeah. So that's tomorrow between 7:30 and 8:30, 9 o'clock. And we'll see you back here, if you missed that meeting, on Thursday of next week. So best wishes to you all. Look forward to seeing you at one of those meetings. And let's close out the evening by giving our special guest, Asari St. here, another big round of applause. Thank you, brother. Thank you. And thank you to my co-host, Silvina. Thank you, Silvina, for what you do. Much appreciated. And to all of you who distributed tickets and made a phone call, sent a text message, or any value, we thank you for all of your efforts. And just even thinking about the spiritual engagement, we thank you from the bottom of our heart. Have a good night.
Cooking soul pain.
Well, make sure to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you won't miss an episode.